Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Zul Hafiz, and today I'll be presenting OSH 2413 Introduction to Ergonomics group assignment, and the topic will be heavy load in factory. So, as mentioned earlier, my name is Muhammad Zul Hafiz, and these are my group mates: Sajendra, Ilham, Muhammad Shahin Nabil, Kesava Kumar, Muhammad Adam Daniel, Muhammad Azizi, Muhammad Arif Afifi. So, first of all, in order for you to understand what is heavy load, you must first understand what is manual handling. Um, Manual handling is basically handling heavy load or any activity that is that involves heavy load but is done manually by human beings without any support of any machineries or any equipment. So in other words, you are using your own energy and effort to do the activity. So manual handling usually occurs in workplaces such as factories, warehouses, building sites, farms, hospitals, or even offices. So one very good example will be lifting of boxes in offices, or lifting boxes in packaging line in factories, or even to handle construction materials in construction sites. All this lifting that doesn't use machineries is called manual handling. So these are the type of jobs that is in basically explains what manual handling is. So the type of work will be like working in a fixed posture for a prolonged period of time, and then the layout of workspace also is a factor of heavy load situation. And then awkward loads, for example, loads that are difficult to hold or to grasp. If the person cannot hold the object properly, it will be considered as heavy load because it will strain certain muscles in your body. These are the health effects from manual handling. So first of all, you have the first category that you have is cuts, bruises, fractures, and so on. This is due to this may happen if accidents have happened. For example, when you carry something heavy and when you can no longer withstand the pressure, the weight, and then you may drop the object on maybe your feet. So this will cause fracture or bruises or even cut. And the other category of injury will be a long-term effect. For example, a damage to your musculoskeletal system of the body, which involves muscle, tendons, ligaments, bones, joints, and blood vessels, and even your nerves. So this musculoskeletal disorder, MSD, can be divided into three groups: neck and upper limb disorder, lower limb disorder, or back pain and back injuries. So in order for us to avoid this kind of situation, we have to do some prevention methods and control measures. So one very important step that you have to do is risk assessment of manual handling activities. So as employers, from employer level to safety officer level, you have to assess the health and safety risks resulting from working tasks and activities that involves manual handling. So a risk assessment is basically a careful examination of what the work could cause on harm to people. So as a safety officer or even the employer and the management team, we have to look for the hazards that could cause accidents and injuries or ill health, taking into account all the loads and the tasks that a worker has to do at the workplace. And then next step is for you to decide who might be harmed and how to evaluate the potential consequences of the hazard. And then next is to decide whether the existing precautions are adequate or whether more should be done. Find ways to reduce the risk. and then you have to monitor the risk and review preventive measures. So basically, this is the basic of all safety, where you have to assess the risk first, and then you have to find um, a possible way to to help prevent any accident from happening. So here are the prevention methods that my group and I have come up, and basically to suggest when it comes to heavy load manual handling. So first of all, the safety suggestions, uh, we can change the task. So we can ask questions like, does this task need to be carried out, and if so, does it have to be done this way? Second suggestion is change the object. For example, repack a heavy load into smaller parcels. So in a factory or warehouse, if the packaging is too big, we can always downsize the packaging to smaller parcels, so this will eventually reduce the load. And then we can change the workspace. For example, use of ergonomic furniture, and make sure workbenches are at optimum heights to limit bending or stretching during lifting or manual handling. And then another factor that we can change is the environmental conditions. Let's say if the factory is too hot, we can always put aircon, or if it's too cold, we can put heater, and reduce any vibration or noise that may lead to unnecessary accidents. So next is protecting your back. So this is actually a very important aspect in manual handling, because human beings, our back, as human beings, our back is very vulnerable to manual handling injuries. It is a very very common kind of injury in the industry. So first of all, we have to know how to correctly lift or carry heavy loads. Later on in the slide, I will give you an example of the proper way of lifting objects. So these are a few suggestions that we came up with. So lift and carry heavy loads correctly by keeping the load close to the body and lifting with the thigh muscles. And then never attempt to lift or carry loads if you think they are too heavy. So the worker must know their own limit. If let's say the load is too heavy for you to carry, they must not perform the job. And then when it comes to pushing a load of heavy object, you have to use your body weight to assist the push. You can't just use your arm. That will eventually, in the long term, it will cause a lot of injury. And then we can also use mechanical aids to help lift or carry the heavy load. So in situations where the load is too heavy and maybe sometimes too many to be carried, you can always use options such as forklift or trolley, or even small cranes inside a warehouse. So in heavy load, we can also apply the hierarchy of control. So first of all, elimination. We can always eliminate the job if it is unnecessary. For example, we can design and organize in such way that manual handling can be avoided completely or least restricted. For example, you can use mechanical handling instead, using as mentioned earlier, you can always use forklift or trolley. And then if you want to move certain objects, you can always use conveyor belts or lift trucks, electric hoists, or gravity inclined roller track. This will help significantly help reduce heavy load, as elimination will be the best way to reduce any hazard and risk in the workplace. So in the case of elimination of the task cannot be done, you can always take technical measures or substitution in the hierarchy of control. So, if manual handling cannot be avoided, automation, mechanization, and the use of lifting and transport equipment should be considered, such as conveyor, hoist, cranes, vacuum lifting devices, lift cables, pallet trucks, and many more. However, attention should be paid to ensure that new work risks are not created, such as through noise or hand-arm vibration. So basically, if you use mechanical methods of lifting heavy loads, there will be new hazard coming in, such as noise and hand-arm vibration. So we have to also make sure that this new risk doesn't cause any harm in any way. Okay, next is organizational measure. This will be the admin control in the hierarchy of control. So, organizational or administrative measure should only be considered if elimination of manual handling is not possible, and if technical measures are not effective in reducing the risk. So, heavy or frequent manual handling tasks should be carried out by several people, or if possible, the amount that is handled should be reduced or the load split into smaller ones. What I'm trying to say here is basically, if we cannot use the elimination or technical methods of eliminating the risk, at least we have to reduce the workload onto one person working. So we can always hire more people to do the lifting, so that it doesn't strain into one person too much, and then we can split the load into smaller ones. So this one will be it involves the administrative control, where the admin of the company will have to take action in this part. And then the time taken to carry out manual handling tasks should be extended by taking breaks. This one is basically to reduce the workload into one person for too long. So we can always divide it into a longer time, and then give them more breaks in between the job. Right. And then this is another admin control where you provide information and training to workers. In this situation, in manual handling situation, we must provide training to the workers so that they know the proper way of lifting. They know the risks and the hazard that may happen to them if they don't do it properly, the technique. So we have to train them, because most workers, they are not they might not know the risk in their workplace, the hazard in the workplace. So we as safety practitioners, we have to educate them. So one of the ways that we can educate is by doing training, safety awareness program, and even by doing toolbox meeting every day can help remind them the risk and the hazard in the workplace. So usually a toolbox meeting will be a 15 minutes toolbox meeting every day before you start your work is actually very effective. So this one will be the PPE control in the hierarchy of control, is by providing back support or back brace to workers. So back support is basically something that you put on your body, which has a rigid support that can help support your back when you lift, so that your backbone doesn't get all the heavy pressure that may injure your back. So providing PPE is basically it goes back to the management level, the administration level, where employers must provide back support if, let's say, in a situation where you cannot avoid manual handling. So these are the correct handling techniques of lifting that we have given. So as you can see in the picture, the guy on the left is lifting the wrong way. He is using his back and his arm to support the load. The correct way is is the guy on the right, where he bends down and he uses his leg muscle to lift up the box. So this will be part of the training that we should educate the workers so that they know what is the correct way of lifting. So the conclusion is basically, manual handling is something that it's hard for us to avoid in industries, because most industries, somewhere or another, we requires manual handling quite a lot. So the best way is to actually do a risk assessment in the workplace. Make sure you know what is the risk that may occur to a person, what kind of injuries that may occur to a person. So we must know what is going on. We must understand the workplace environment, and from the risk assessment that we do, we can apply all the control measures so that we can reduce any accidents from happening. We can reduce any injuries, even long-term injuries, so that it's safer. So that your workplace is safer than it should be. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much.